Okay, they'll be jealous of you. Chabad will be jealous. Ashrecha. Ashrecha. Okay, we are in the same book as last week. Book 6. Ashrecha. Book 6, Chelik Vav, Yehave Daat. And we are now doing halakha number 51. It's not a very long halakha. Halakha is Hayim mitzvah al adam לכבד את חמיו כדין כיבוד אב ממש, או אינו חייב אלא לקום מפניו ולהדרו. Do I have to honor my father-in-law mamash like my father, exactly like my father? Or is it enough if I just stand up or do something, when he walks in the room, I stand up for him and hajj it? Is that enough? And so
that's one. And also, if it's mamash like your father, then you have a challenge when both of them want something or they yeah.
So who goes first? Okay. And obviously, mother-in-law is in the same equation. Everyone's favorite person is their mother-in-law. Yeah. I love you, mom. Okay. B'Yalkut Shimoni in the Midrash in Shemuel. Who is our Bible expert? Let's see who gets it first. Where is this pasuk? David says, My father, see. My father, see.
My father, see.
My father, Avi, look.
David says, Avi,
yeah. Avi re'eh. Where is it? The story when Shaul was in the cave. And David went and cut his garment, and then he ran out and he calls him out, and he says, what does he call him? My father, Abi, look at your garment. Because he wasn't his father, he was his father-in-law. Shaul was his father-in-law. So that's the proof the Midrash brings. Mikan says the Midrash, Shehayav Adam b'chvod Hamiv k'chvod Aviv. Midrash Yalkut Shimoni says, from here we learn that if David HaMelech calls his father-in-law dad, which a lot of people have a hard time doing, calling their father-in-law dad, must be David is showing us this is the way to live your life, and we have to do it. Amar Rabbi Yehuda says, Nah, Abi Re'eh Amar LeShaul. He said, Dad, look.
It was Shaul.
Yeah.
It wasn't really halacha.
Begam Re'eh Amar LeAvner. Partially, he was talking to Avner. Some people say he was all talking to Avner. Avner was the general of Shaul. And so why would he call Avner his father? Let's see if it says over here. Because, it doesn't say over here, but I'll tell you outside. Because Avner, he called him his father in Talmud. He had a lot of respect for, even though there were enemies, they had lots of respect for one another. So Avner, he called my father in knowledge, not my father mamash. Okay. Anyway, the Yalkut Shimoni does bring a proof, according to one or two opinions, that this story shows us you have to call your father-in-law dad, which means you should respect him like your dad. Now the question is, Shema Shalamedu David Shamad Kach Shaul Al Papi Shaul Melech Haya. Even though Shaul was the king at the time, still, anyway, you have to respect him, right? Because it says, Som Tasim Alecha Melech, you have to put Emato on the Melech, your fear on the king. Even though David was also the king at the time, we had two kings. David was anointed as the king, but he didn't really get out there. But he wasn't famously known as
ruling.
Right. Okay, however, bottom line, he could have said my king if you wanted to be respectful. Look, he chose to say the word my father. It shows us it's because his wife Michal is mamash like his own body, right? David's wife Michal is just like my own body, and just like Michal has to honor her father, so too I have to honor Michal's father. A lot of. I had 18 wives. Yesterday's haftarah was when the girl was with him to make him warm, and she wanted to marry him. It doesn't say this in Tanakh, but it says in the Gemara. Right. Lo yada'a, but why didn't he marry her? And so the pashut pashat is because he didn't want to remove her virginity, because the virginity is what brings heat. He was cold. David HaMelech.
Is David HaMelech really somebody who's looking to?
That's you're opening up a whole discussion. But the Gemara Shabbat, David is a great man. This is a great man. The Gemara, he's a complicated man.
It doesn't go well in some places.
David HaMelech was one of the greatest people we ever had, and probably because he was such a complicated person and he dealt with real life challenges, that's why he was. And he's saying Tehillim on top of all of it. But the bottom line is, what am I saying to you? Your question is yesterday's Haftarah. The king didn't know her, which means he didn't sleep with this girl. Why didn't he? Gemara says she wanted to marry him. Gemara says, look at the difference between David HaMelech and Ahashverosh. Ahashverosh, they said, I want a queen. So they sent out people. We need a girl. We're having a beauty pageant. Everyone hides their girls in the houses. Everyone hides their girls. David HaMelech, we need a girl. Everyone's pushing their girls out. Here, take mine. Everybody wants King David. The difference between David and Ahashverosh. Anyway, the Gemara says, why didn't she wanted him to marry him? And he said, no, I can't marry you. I'm not allowed to because I'm married to 18 girls. You're not allowed to have 19. It's a suit for the king to have more than 18 wives. And she said, divorce one of them. And the Gemara learns from there how terrible divorce is. That's what the Gemara says. The Gemara says divorce is so bad that David HaMelech says, I cannot divorce any of my wives, whether they're Pilegesh or whatever. We're getting sidetracked. And so this Gemara, this Midrash is proving to us that David HaMelech treated his father-in-law, even though his father-in-law was trying to kill him, which maybe some other father-in-laws try to do, but he treated him with respect and he called him dad. He called him my father. Another Midrash. Vayetze Moshe lekrat hoteno. Moshe comes out to greet his father-in-law Yitro, Parashat Yitro. Here's the pasuk. Vayishtahu vayishak lo. This pasuk, Moshe, is full of pronouns, right? In Parashat Yitro. Vayetze Moshe, Moshe goes out. Vayishtahu, and he bows. Pronoun. Who bows? Who's bowing? Moshe or Yitro? Vayishak lo, and he kisses who? He kisses him. Who kisses who? Mi yishtahaveh v'nashak lemi. It doesn't give us proper nouns. It gives us pronouns. Who's bowing and who's kissing? Keshu omed vayishalu ish lere'ehu leshalom. The man asked his friend for peace. Who's the ish? The ish is always Moshe Rabbeinu. Mi karoi ish ve'aish Moshe alav me'od. Moshe is called ish. This tells you harei shelo yishtahaveh v'nashak ela Moshe lehami, which means all the pronouns in the pasuk. He was Moshe Rabbeinu. And so Moshe Rabbeinu is the one who bowed down to Yitro, not Yitro bowing to Moshe. Right? That's how we know all the he's in the pasuk are from Moshe Rabbeinu. And so therefore we say, Mikan, Amru Adam Mukhan, Lichvod Hamid. Therefore Moshe Rabbeinu teaches us again, you have to respect your father-in-law. V'chen pasku hatur Shulchan Aruch.
On the level. Just tells you that you have to respect.
So what you're saying is good. Some people say, well, Moshe Rabbeinu is being strict, and he's not telling you we have to copy him. I'm not bowing down to my father-in-law.
No, not only that. What I'm trying to say, it doesn't necessarily indicate like his father. With David, we can still argue he says Avi, so perhaps you can learn. But here you just learn the importance of respecting the father-in-law, yes. Yet you don't know if it's Avi type of respect.
Right.
Because we do have a deoraita kabed et avicha v'et imecha. Does it rise to the same level?
That's the question. From it would seem yes from all that Moshe is doing, but that's the people who bring this proof are in the yes wagon. It's exactly like a father. I mean, bowing and kissing and what else do you want a guy to do? So not enough. Shulchan Aruch, he says, V'chen pasku hatur v'Shulchan Aruch Yoreh De'ah. And so if you look over here, Yoreh De'ah, we have over here 240. Which pasuk is it? Yoreh De'ah 240:24. It says you have to honor your in-laws. Hayav, where is it? Hayav 240. I just saw it yesterday. All right, I don't want to waste your time. It says here, Hayav Adam lechaved eshet aviv. Yeah, you see if you can find it. It's here in Haru. You find it. I don't want to waste time. Okay. So you have to honor your in-laws. For Haru rights, you have to honor your in-laws as well. Yechadat Beit Hadash, Habayit Hadash, the Bah. The two Shulchan Aruch writes that you have to honor, check this out. The two writes you have to honor your older brother like your father. Your older brother just like your father. The two Shulchan Aruch writes, right? How do you know? כבד את אביך ואת אמך. What's the et for? לרבות אחיך הגדול, to include your older brother. And some people say even older sister, same thing. And so the Tud writes, you have to honor your older brother, just like your father. And then it says, and then the Tud writes, you have to honor your in-laws. It puts the in-laws after the older brother in the Tud. What is the proof from the Tud? The Tud writes the same pasuk from David HaMelech. My dad, come see. And he doesn't write, you have to honor your in-laws like your father, the Tud. He only writes, you have to honor your older brother like your father. And so therefore, we learn from the Tud, Mukach, she'enu hayav lechabedo ke'aviv mamash, that the in-laws are not on the same status as your parents. They're actually, according to the Tud, a lower status than your older brother. Your older brother would be higher on the rung than your in-laws, according to the Tud.
Where does he take it?
Where is it from the Tud?
Yeah, what is Simukim? What is Simukim? What does he say?
You're talking about what I'm reading now? Because the way the Tud says it, where it doesn't say here where the Tud got it from. But I mean, there is a Simukim from the Pasuk. Kabed et avicha ve'et imecha, et lerabot achicha gadol. The Gemara. Gemara says et lerabot achicha gadol. It doesn't say in the Gemara et lerabot hami. Yeah? With me? Okay. Fine. And so what does it appear according to the Tud and Shulchan Aruch? How much do you have to honor your in-laws? Just like another elderly person. Now, your in-laws may not be elderly. There's a halakha that you have to stand up for an older person who walks into your 4 amot. Someone who's 70 years old and walks within your 4 amot, you should stand up for them while they pass you by. Anyone who's 70 years old, yeah? And so your in-laws have the status, according to this, of an elder, even if they're not an elder. That makes sense? Your in-laws are 60, they have the status of an elder. Because David HaMelech had some sort of respect. So therefore, he says over here that the Bah writes that it seems to me that the in-laws get the respect of a regular elderly person. Fine. Let's skip ahead. I'm going to skip a lot of the extra stuff today, and I'm going to really chop it short. The binyan olam shenish'al im hayav adam lakum mipnei hamiv. Someone asked him, do I have to stand up for my father-in-law when he walks in the room? Ve'ashiv, and he answers, שצריך לקום מפני חותנו, שהרי כתבו הבית חדש ועשתי כהן, שצריך לכבדו כמו שאז זקנים חשובים. You have to treat your in-laws, like I said, just like an elderly person. So just like if a 70-year-old walks in the room in my 4 amot, I have to stand up. So too, when my in-laws walk in my 4 amot, I have to stand up. Mashma da'adif mizaken she'eno tamid chacham. Mashma from here that your in-laws are a little bit of a higher status from an elderly person that's not a rabbi. So we have, if we're going to arrange the hierarchy of respect so far, what we have, your parents are on top, your older siblings are right below them, your in-laws are right below them, and let's add an elderly person that's a rabbi. Your parents are on top, your older brother and sister are right below them. Then you have an elderly person who's a hacham, or the rabbi that's an elderly person, forget it. And then below that, your in-laws, and then you have a regular elderly person who's not a hacham. You have to stand up for all these people when they walk in, within your 4 amot. Sometimes people think that when they walk in the door 20 amot away, you have to stand up. No, that's for your rab. That's for your rab mufak. For a regular 70-year-old guy, if he's not coming into your 4 amot, you don't have to stand up for him. Good so far?
Yeah, isn't it in the list that you gave, his own rab, Kodem Le'aviv?
Your own Rav Muvak? Yeah.
Your own Rav Muvak. So you have really an exception, one above.
Your major rabbi is above. And then you have above that, you have a Nasi, you have a Gadol Ador, you have a Kohen Gadol. But in the standard person's life, let's say, you have that list. So he says over here, Mashma, so again, Mashma de'adif mizaken she'eno tamid chacham. Your in-laws are a little higher than an elderly person. You have to stand up when they walk into the room. If you don't have to stand up for your in-laws, then how are you supposed to respect them? What else are you expecting me to do? There's not that many things. We're not going to make you do all the things that you do for your parent. Like I said before, for a parent, is so much more of it. You have fear of the parent, and you have honor of the parent. The parent, you can't contradict their words. The parent, you can't sit in their chair. The parent, you can't call by the first name. The parent, you have to take care of them financially if they need it. All these things, it seems right now, they're not applying to an in-law. Calling the in-law by their name is a great question. It doesn't say here that it's asur, but David HaMelech called him dad. Maybe we learn from him. But we're talking primarily here about standing up for them. That's how they get their honor. Standing up for someone is very easy to do. Even if a regular elderly person walked in the room, you would stand up for that guy. So how could you not do that for your in-laws? Okay? This is the last source. Even if you want to hold like the Knesset Israel who holds that a regular elderly person who's 70 and not a Hakam, just a regular elderly person walks in the room, you don't have to stand up, he holds. He just says do the little bump. Some people hold, just do a little bump for the elderly person. That's not a Hakam. Even according to that person, you should stand up for your in-laws when they walk in because they are higher on the list. In any case, in any event, there is an obligation to stand up for your in-laws if they walk into your 4 amot, which is 6 to 8 feet. Anyway, the halakha is not like those guys who hold that an elderly person gets a bump. The halakha is not like them. The elderly person walks up 70, you stand up for them. Stand up for them. And so therefore, for sure, for your in-laws. I'm skipping this next chapter, this next bunch. You could do it on your own. It's this book 6 in Yehave Daat, Siman 51. Let's go to the Sikum. Because the Sikum is a little bit long for Sikum. For the summary, is a little bit long on this one. Hayav Adam, Lechabed et Hamiv, Lekima v'hidur. You have to stand up for your father-in-law when he walks into your 4 amot. Kishimeagia letoch 4 amotav, when he gets into your space. Just like you would honor an elderly person who's honored. But he's not at the level of your father per se. Hamiv or Hamav? Hamiv, yeah? Derech kabod v'yakad, and some people have the custom to kiss the hands of their father-in-law, giving them a lot of respect. It's befitting to do so. Not obligated, befitting. Especially Hamiv, I always mix it up. Especially if your father-in-law is a Hakam, he's a coming Hakam, he's a good man, he does a lot of good charity and good work. It's good to respect him extra. So to your mother-in-law, as she deserves, like we say in Yoreh Da'ah. He doesn't say over here what we say in Yoreh Da'ah, but I'll tell you where it is. The Siman is 374, and I'll tell you basically out. It's very interesting, actually. It's in the laws of Avelut. Maran Shulchan Aruch says that someone takes Avelut with his wife for her parents. Maran Shulchan Aruch writes this, that if someone's wife is in Avelut, the husband joins her in Avelut for his in-laws. And then the Rama writes on this. The Rama after that writes, absolutely not. This is not the custom. Nobody sits Avelut for their in-laws. And the Rama even writes on that. You can check it, 374. He says, anyone who decides to be strict, like Maran Shulchan Aruch writes, and to sit Avelut for their in-laws, is not even doing a good thing. He's doing a bad thing. Don't do it.
We usually go after Maran Shulchan Aruch.
I know, but I don't know one person that sits.
Don't do that.
I know.
Not only, I know that Maran Rabbi Ovadia Yosef writes in his book of Avelut, even to say Kaddish, if there's no one to say Kaddish, should ask permission from his parents.
I don't know the answer. We can make this another. Yeah, it's very strong. We don't do this.
Yeah.
Even though Maran writes it. And so that's what he's talking about here. We see he's using the fact that Maran even writes that someone should sit Avelut for their in-laws
to the high level
shows that you have to respect them in any event. We can get into that another time. Okay. There's one last line I want to show you. This is the halakha. They all agree that Birkei Yosef, who is the Birkei Yosef is the Hida, also agrees. Also, the woman should honor her in-laws as much as she can. Why as much as she can? She has to also honor her own husband. And so if there's a conflict, her husband always wins for the woman over her parents and over her in-laws. The woman's allegiance has to go to her husband first. Interesting. In the 10 Commandments, it says, honor your parents, and it says, don't do adultery. So he says, to teach you, if you marry someone, someone who gets married to someone and doesn't respect that person's parents, it's like you're committing adultery with that girl.
A little harsh.
Yeah. If you think about it, the sevara is there. You're taking their girl, you're taking their son, and you're not giving them any respect at all. It's like you're using them. You're abusing their kid. It's very strong. And this is also brought in the Sefer Hadidim. You have a confused look. It's strong.
No. I'm trying to reason it because the only
you're not
is when you do things with
it's not mamash. You're not justly taking this person's kid. You at least honor them. You took their kid. Yeah. Strong words. For sure that if a woman would honor her in-laws, it's honoring her husband also. Okay, fine. It's okay. Honoring a person's parents is just like honoring that person. A woman who honors her husband's parents, it's like honoring her husband, and vice versa. The man honors his wife's parents, it's giving honor to your wife. And this is the bottom line halakha. And so the bottom line halakha is, do you have to respect your parents, your in-laws? You have to respect them. Is it the same level as your parents? No, it's not. And according to even some of these poskim, it's not even the same level as your older brother. The older brother would go even stronger than your in-laws, according to some. But what should you do? You should stand up when they walk in. It's mashma from here that the other details of honor don't apply, which is sitting in their seat. It's pretty interesting. Sitting in their seat would seem to not apply to a parent, to an in-law, which means you would be able to sit in their seat. And so that's an interesting halakha. Honor your in-laws, bottom line. Have a great day.